I feel like when you put your political perspective out there, you're kind of demonstrating your values as a person. Like, you're putting it out there to the world. You're putting out what you stand for, what is and isn't okay. It demonstrates the type of leader potentially that you could be. And if that could be demonstrated as harmful to the people that work within your business, then you need to be removed. Because we don't like the trust. If I'm running a business and a leader says something that is politically really completely wrong and incorrect from our perspective, or immoral and doesn't align with our values, I can't trust you as a leader in my business. I can't.
But since when have businesses been
So before you challenge, state your position first, Anu. So you said no, so state why no, and then you can challenge.
I don't think leaders should be fired for their political positions.
Why?
Because since when have businesses been really on the right side of morality? I mean, they pollute the world, they destroy the ecosystems. Only when it hurts their businesses do they want to take a moral stand and say, we're going to fire our CEO because she or he said something. So A, I don't really buy the moral agenda. B, as an individual, I am allowed to have personal opinions. I might be the CEO of the biggest bank in the world, but hey, I do have a life beyond it, and I am allowed that life. If I want to sleep with somebody, if I want to have a political view, that's my choice. At my interview, did you ask me what my views on Hamas and Gaza are? You didn't, because nobody knew this was happening. C, do you really know today which side is right and which side is wrong? Hugo Boss was supplying uniforms to Nazis. We haven't really banned Hugo Boss, have we? Today, it's very hard to say who's right and who's wrong. So, if you can't decide that for yourself, don't judge the other person. Freedom of speech is a basic human right. We can't take that away.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. So I understand what you're saying in regards to, you know, not all businesses are moral, and you don't ask that question in interviews and you don't know. But when you've put something out there, you're now representing the business on a leadership scale, and now we know. We don't know the political standpoints for every single person in the business or every leader. We don't know, so we can act a little bit ignorant and continue working. But now we know how you feel. Now we know what you think and your values and your morals. Now that needs to be addressed. Because for me, personally, when I do business with someone, I won't work with you if our values are not aligned. Point blank period. If I don't know that, then that's fine. But if I now know, I can't act on that. And that's where I think, in the circumstance that people should be fired, if their political opinion is out there and outrageous, then I think they should suffer the consequences of that.
Joe, what say you?
It's a little bit similar in terms of I believe in the right for free speech, but with that freedom comes responsibility. So if you say something, then you've got to, you can act as you wish, but then you will have the consequences of whatever that might be. However, and the bit that I was sort of humming about, not just because my normal state, is it's about who has the power to make a decision about what's right and wrong, because it could be unfair and it could be fair. But I agree with you, Alicia, that if our values are not aligned, and if I feel like if someone demonstrates themselves to be abusive or doing things that I feel are fundamentally wrong, that does impact on their work. And I guess because I'm in the helping profession, if people have oppressive views, that bothers me. That impacts my view of their values and their work. So they need to take the consequence for that. However, there's going to be in other situations which I'm deeply uncomfortable about, which is when views are imposed, like a dominant discourse, this is what everyone needs to think, and then it's not right. Because there are people who are scared to speak up, who feel like they can't be their authentic selves, they can't be allowed to be, and there's no room for dialogue, and that is wrong. So I'm not quite a yes or no, but I did the best I could for you, Sabrina.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, I think there's gems in the conversation in terms of what everyone has said. As someone who, I think a lot of businesses right now, or leaders, they're under a certain social pressure, because when something happens, whether it's conflict or disagreement, a lot of people are looking, you should be saying something. You should be saying something. People are looking at Drake, DJ Khaled. I'm a music guy, by the way, so I'll be making a lot of music references today. Why don't you say something? So I'm definitely on the side of free speech, and I do live in a world where there are consequences, but I think when you're dealing with a conflict and a situation that's basically people are dying, for someone to speak out against people dying, and to be punished for it in the sense of being suspended or losing your job, that sends a message out to not just your employees, but the world. If I was working in that company and I saw my CEO or whoever I report to being fired or suspended as a result of saying, hey, this needs to stop because people are dying, or paraphrasing, and you punish them for it, you're sending a message to me. You're basically saying that we don't agree with that, and anyone else who speaks up, you're going to suffer the consequences too. And I think the world has changed, especially with, you know, Gen Z and younger people. They're not just looking for businesses to buy stuff from. They're looking for people that will advocate and speak on behalf of downtrodden, misunderstood communities. So yes, I don't think people should be punished for having views, but I understand why it happens.
Okay. Larry?
Yeah, I mean, the question about political statement, if I make a political statement, if I am the Jewish CEO of an international bank and I express a political statement that I believe Israel has a right to defend itself and to do what it needs to do to extract hostages and to protect its borders, that's a political statement. It's not racist, it's not sexist, it's not ageist, it's not any other ist you could mention. It's a political statement because that person would believe in the right for an Israeli state to exist, as an example. If a Palestinian CEO of an international bank, thank you, said they believe that Palestine has a right to exist, that's a political statement, perfectly valid political statement. If they said it was right for Hamas, a terrorist organisation, to kill women and children, that's not a political statement. In my view, there's a difference between what is politics and what is political correctness and what is racist, sexist, ageist, etc. The latter, I would expect to be sacked as a CEO, I think. If I expressed a racist, sexist, ageist view, I would expect to be sacked because there is degrees of acceptability for comment. But political views, I want to know the views of the leaders that I choose to do business with. And I'm quite prepared for them to have a view which is different to mine. It wouldn't stop me from doing business with them just because they had a different political view. If there was a clash of values though, Alicia, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
If the value set, they showed to me they were so far away from what I believe in as a human, I wouldn't do business with them. And depending on the degree of how bad they had been, would decide whether they would be sacked or not. But political views, I welcome people do that. Otherwise, people just are guessing what they are. And if you prevent free speech, and social media has a very big part to play here, where people are running scared about expressing their own view because that view can be soundbited and sent out to millions of people very quickly, you end up with bland, banal, or even worse, subterranean views hidden in organisations, which is dangerous. That's why free speech is so important.